Welcome to the program. I am Lasha Kingsley in Douala, Cameroon. Cameroon has a bicameral legislature composed of the Senate and the National Assembly. The Senate was created in 1996 following an amendment to the Constitution which created the upper chamber of Parliament. The Senate consists of 100 senators with 70 elected and 30 appointed by the President of the Republic. The Senate only became operational in 2013 following a presidential decree on February 27, 2013. I will be right back. Senator Kemende, thanks so much for honoring our invitation.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
Can you introduce yourself to viewers who may want to know who you are? Why and how did you become a senator?
Well, to begin with, I'm Senator Barrister Kemende Henry Gamse. I'm an advocate of the Cameroon Bar Association. Before joining the Senate, I was the lawyers' representative in the lawyers' government, which is the Cameroon Bar Council. I was a member of the Bar Council, and at the same time, representative of the Bar President in the Northwest region. Because of my having gone to the Senate, I decided to relinquish the other office by not running for elections as it came in October, or is it November? Yes, last year.
Wow, that's great to note. As a senator, what is your job description? What do you people do when you are not in a meeting? In other words, can you tell the viewers what the job description of a senator is? Because many people have this popular opinion that a Senate is just a house where old people sit and squander taxpayers' money.
Yes, it is important for our viewers, or for the viewers and the population at large, to know that the Senate is not a house on its own. It is the upper house of Parliament. So a senator is a parliamentarian. And he who talks about Parliament talks about lawmaking, talks about legislation. So the Senate is part of the Cameroonian Parliament, and it is otherwise referred to as the upper house of Parliament. So we do what the ordinary parliamentarian does, which is that of lawmaking, checking on the government action, and maybe managing a few interventions left, right, center as it need may arise. But the principal duty of a parliamentarian is with regard to lawmaking. So our principal duty is to see about making the laws that are used to govern the people, and criticizing them when they are not properly drafted. That's why when they come to Parliament, the laws, the bills come to Parliament, we criticize them and make sure the law that comes out match the desires of the common man or the public, depending on the government objective vis-a-vis introducing that bill. And the second thing is which is the principal function of a parliamentarian, is to check on government actions, and that is actually
and have you been checking on the government actions?
That is actually what is topical.
But there is popular saying that you people, the laws that come from the lower house of Parliament, you don't have any say. You just validate anything, everything
as
that
far
comes
as
from
checking
the
the Parliament is concerned,
Parliament.
It is important for the public to know that we have a multi-party Parliament. We have many parties that are represented in Parliament. I think as of now, there are about five parties that are similarly represented in the Senate. You have the ruling CPDM, the SDF, the UNDP, the MDR, and the ANDP that are represented there in the Senate, and so to speak, the Parliament. And our topical role is that of checking, making sure as opposition, because I must point out this fact that
you are the minority,
that
the opposition, the minority.
A parliamentarian of the opposition SDF, Social Democratic Front Party. We are the minority, and but the minority has a voice, and you will not be a stranger to the fact that we raise an issue which came from the minority, but which has been the most successful.
Like seeing some of the eldest members of parliament who were having double functions.
Double functions. This is one of the issues that has been handled perfectly, 100% by the government, even though it was raised by the minority SDF in parliament, in the Senate, in the House of Senate, in the Senate House. But surprisingly, and as you have it, something which touches on the conscience and the law. You see, it touched many people's consciences that they were offended.
But it only took somebody like you with that kind of courage to be able to say, to speak out, to champion that kind of fight. Because this is the second, I think, the second mandate of senators.
That's right.
Why is it that some of your colleagues, the previous one, they didn't do that?
I cannot be able to explain. Maybe they can explain better. But everything has its time, and I can say that is a difference. I can say the difference in me is because I'm a lawyer, and I think raising an issue like that as an issue of preliminary objection, those are things that we do every day in our court business. So that's where I got the inspiration from, to raise it as an issue of preliminary consideration, as a, what they call in French, mot d'ordre, or point of order. You get the point? We are used to that professionally. And I think, but then I cannot actually explain on behalf of other people who did not raise it. Maybe they never addressed their minds to it, and it so happens that I addressed my mind to it, or I, on behalf of our group of senators, the SDF group of senators in the Senate, we addressed our minds to it, that I was made the spokesman to raise the issue.
Senator, you said a while ago that one of the main duties is to check government action.
Exactly.
But we are aware that, I am mindful that any bills that has to be promulgated, it goes to the presidency first. So how do you explain the fact that you're checking the government action and all the bills that come from the parliament must be validated or promulgated by the President of the Republic?
It is law.
Is it not a contradiction?
It is legal. You know, we have a constitution.
So it means that there is no separation of power?
No, there is a separation of power. That's why we have the we have the legislature, we have the judiciary, and we have the government. It is there, and it is there in the constitution. But what makes a difference now is when it comes to applying it. But then promulgating laws, it must be clear, it is constitutionally promulgated by the President of the Republic. So bills live from the government bench.
And to the best of my knowledge, we've never had any private member bills.
Well, that's what has been very difficult to go through.
So how can you talk about checking the government action?
No, we can check the bills that come in. We have a chance of reviewing it to make sure that it is any criticism that we've got to bring to bear. We bring them to bear. You need to take part at least at the last finance bill. We raise issues. We ask the government ministers, the Minister of Finance, questions, which he answered. The question is whether satisfactory. Did he answer the question satisfactorily? That's a different issue altogether. But we raise questions. We challenge bills. We challenge them. But whether it is actually taken into consideration, our challenges are taken into consideration, that's a different thing altogether. That's where it comes now to the ruling party having its obvious majority in parliament, and because of, we may make a point, but they are not obliged to take it into consideration if they don't want to, because the obvious majority will support it as it is. And but then that is where I want to correct my colleagues of the ruling party, that it is not because of the fact that the whole parliament may be made up of members of parliament who are of the CPDM party, that they will fail in their constitutional duty of checking government action. If supposing a situation were to arise where the entire parliament, upper and lower house, that is the National Assembly and the Senate, were all to be made up of CPDM militants or CPDM parliamentarians, that does not make the parliament irrelevant. They are still supposed to do their function constitutionally by checking the government action, you see. So this fallacy, it is a mistake, that's a fallacy, which we have, that once the government is in power, the National Assembly or the Senate becomes moribund. It is actually where the democracy is not actually functional. It is not because the president is of a ruling party that everything that he brings must go through. But for that, I must draw the attention of my colleagues who think that being members of parliament of the CPDM means that they should support every action that comes from the government. I say no to it. And that if that were to be the case, as they do it most often, then we have something we have to explain to the Cameroonian taxpayers why we need to duplicate the institutions, why we need to have a parliament instead of allowing the government to go ahead governing according to their whims and caprices. So if a member of parliament of the CPDM thinks that because they are in power, they support everything,
some of them will tell
no.
you that they are respecting the Constitution because all the Constitution gives the president all the power to act the way he wants to act.
No, it doesn't give the president all the powers. It's just because of
most of the bills comes from the presidency.
No, they come from the government.
After debate in the parliament, they send those bills back to the presidency for promulgation.
Yes, the bills come from the government. They don't come from the president. They come from the government because every government department
and the government
come with their, and it's at the
ministers are appointed by the
head of state.
They are answerable to the head of state.
Why the bill comes from the government is because the head of state is elected by way of universal suffrage. So after his election, he defines by the Constitution. He is a person who defines the policy of the nation. You get the point? And then by defining the policy of the nation, he sees into the execution of that policy. And those policies are executed by way of bills. That's how bills are brought to parliament. The problem is what happens in parliament is what should interest every ordinary Cameroonian. Are they, because it's
many Cameroonians are concerned about private member bills. Why is it that we've not been able to have one?
It is because private member bills touch on issues that the government bills may not be interested in. That is why the population is interested in private member bills. Because private member bills are like, you are telling the government indirectly that it has failed in its obligation of touching or legislating on that aspect that the private member bill is coming to take care of. So it's a challenge. Private member bill is a challenge to the government for not covering that particular line of activity that private member bill is coming to handle. You see, so first of all, it's always taken as a challenge to the government. That's why the problem is the obese majority of the members of parliament who come from the ruling party. They feel that by introducing a private member bill, you are challenging the government for not being proactive enough to come up with a bill to cover that aspect that the private member bill is coming to cover. That's why, first of all, fight it as a challenge rather than considering it going into the merits of that particular private member's bill. So they first of all take it as a challenge, which is wrong. Because whether private member bill or government bill, they are all intended to take care of the nation and the population that we are there to defend. Because without the population, we are doing nothing there in the parliament. Is a hen that lays a golden egg. So we must, at every single moment, direct our actions towards the population. Without the population, there will be no taxes. Without the population, and then what they fail to understand is that the population, which that private member bill is about to protect or is about to take care of their activities, they are the ones who pay taxes. When we raise an issue in parliament as an opposition member of parliament, we are not our own militants of their own parties. They don't pay taxes to the party government or to a party hierarchy. And for us to use it, if they were to pay it on those lines, I will bet you that's where we will show to the world that elections are rigged in Cameroon. Because if they were to make party militants or sympathizers of political parties pay their taxes to those party hierarchies, the CPD will have no taxes to manage. And that's where they will know the truth about elections that are managed in this country, the way the elections are managed in this country.
Let's take a break, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator, who is your employer? Is it the state, the people, or the SDF?
When you talk about the state, you talk about the people. My employer is the people through the state machinery.
We have crises in almost all the regions of the country. In the northwest, the southwest, we have the Grand North, the Adamawa region, but it would appear most of you senators are not very much concerned about what is happening in the country.
It would be an overstatement to say the senators are not concerned, particularly the senators of the Social Democratic Front. It will be an overstatement to say we are not concerned about the crisis.
What have you been doing, for example, the crisis in the Northwest and the Southwest?
If you need to know that the crisis touches us right at heart. It's a crisis we are living in. It's a crisis that is actually making us not feel proud to be the members of parliament that we are. In fact, it is like I've been sapped. The crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions have like sapped me dry of my integrity. Have like sapped me dry of my morale. Because you cannot be a senator of the nation with a constituency, and you cannot feel proud to be a senator within that constituency because of the happenings, because of the goings on, or because of the poor handling of the crisis by the government in place. It has made us lose our integrity, not because we are not up to it, but because the government cannot do what we advise it to do, or do what is actually rational, do what is actually what any objective mind will want them to do. In fact, the problem is artificial. You can say the problem about, you must distinguish the problems as far as you have named them. The problems of the Northwest and Southwest are unique. The problem is a unique problem. Different from that of the Adamawa, different from that of extreme North. When people mix it up, like for instance, they have created the disarmament committee to handle Boko Haram. It is actually, we are fooling who? Is the government fooling? Government is fooling us Cameroonians, or is fooling themselves? They're actually fooling themselves, because the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest region, they know where it originates. They know where the crisis comes from, and they know the solution, but they don't want to face the truth.
Why is the government so reluctant? In their own opinion?
It is because of the mindset of the people in governance. It is because of the mindset, the colonial mindset, so to speak. Because there's no gainsaying the fact that this is a colonial problem. This is a problem of an unfinished job by the colonial masters. It's an unfinished job. When there was the trusteeship agreement, there was no link in the trusteeship agreement between West Cameroon or Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon. The Southern Cameroon was given to Britain to manage as a trusteeship nation. La République was given to France to manage as a trusteeship nation and to raise them to independence. The question now to ask is, what happened that one side of the country, La République Cameroon, was raised and given independence on the 1st of January 1960, and then Southern Cameroon's own independence was aborted? What happened? That is where the problem lies. And then, supposing that they denied them the third option, they gave them the option of becoming independent. I don't know what type of independent that was, by joining either independent La République du Cameroon or joining independent Federal Republic of Nigeria. The third option was never given, to have their independence by staying on their own. Okay, so now the people now haven't tested being under Nigeria, and they actually moved out of the Nigeria Eastern House of Assembly. They know where the shoe pinches, where the shoe pinched when they were in Nigeria. So they decided to vote to have independence by joining La République du Cameroon. But then that did not end. It was not like a blank check. There were certain things to be done before the real Independence Day and before the real reunification. That's where Fumban Conference, nothing came out of it. Are we saying that Fumban Conference was actually an action in futility? It was actually intended to come out with the terms of joining, how the blending had to take place. But haven't realized nothing at Fumban. The constitution that was amended in the Eastern, in the La République Cameroon, was now applied as a temporary measure to cover up for the Fumban Conference. So and that is where we find ourselves where we are.
Telling the government?
The government should go back and accept some truths, some facts that are very clear. Those facts are simply that the Southern Cameroons joined with their brothers of La République du Cameroon on a federal structural term, whereby they maintain some of their uniqueness, identical issues like the judiciary, educational system, and even local government. That's why when there was a prime minister there, they want to even tell Cameroonians that we came together as a matter of, we are speaking English and French, as a matter of convenience, as a matter of who choose to. They don't want to attach historical value to it. That Southern Cameroon is a nation, and was a nation that has just got dissolved without any proper procedure put in place with regard to the dissolution of that nation and instructions.
We've never had this topic discussed in the parliament.
We have been clamoring. We have been clamoring. And I think there will be an opportunity.
Why is it that you people of the opposition cannot fight and make sure that this issue is discussed in the parliament?
We have been fighting. But as the people who have the power to determine when to bring the issue on the table, they are lagging, they are keeping themselves away from it. There will be a day that it must be discussed. Because even supposing, let's accept, they have taken the option of force, that you can shoot an idea with a bayonet and it will go and it will get killed. Of which I will tell you that it is impossible to shoot an idea with a gun and think that the idea will get lost. You can kill the body, but you not kill the spirit. So they are killing the body, but the spirit is rolling on, even to unborn children. Go now to Northwest and Southwest. You meet children, you intune in what they call the Amber Anthem. They will sing.
So let me go back to the question I asked you. When last did you go back to your constituency?
I live within my constituency. That's our constituency as senators. Is the region from which we come.
Are you happy being a senator?
I am happy to a certain extent being a senator. That is, by being a senator, I have been given a platform which is better than the one I enjoyed before, to talk on behalf of my people, to talk the common man's mind, to express the common man's mind, which I'm doing thanks to your media outlet, which I'm doing. And with that, without that, I could not have done it before. So that makes me satisfied, even though we are at war. Because even though we are at war, somebody needs to be called upon to account for that war. And for that person to be called upon to account for that war, the way the war is being prosecuted, it requires some people like us to be able to stand up and say, even though you are using the gun on people, I can still stand to say, can you give an account to the Cameroonian people how you are managing that war? Before you invade, before you go to a particular locality to operate militarily, where do you place the population? What information is given to the population with regard to their physical integrity? What is being done to secure the population? You don't just get there because you are looking for Amber boys who are dressed in civilian attire. You just get and shoot anybody who is in civil, who is uncivil, because the Ambers are in civil. You don't get to a place and burn the village because you are burning. You think that by burning you will affect the Amber boys. No. So we are still, through our voices, and our voices are authoritative, thanks to the fact that I'm a senator, we are still asking the government to account, to render account to Parliament, either directly or indirectly through the Parliament, either directly to the people, or indirectly through Parliament, on their prosecution of this war, which we found very wanting. The prosecution of this war declared on the civilian population, because we don't know how, you declare a war where you don't know the adversary. You know the person whom you are going to face. You declare a war and you go looking for the person you are going to fight. How
many of your colleagues, senators, are interested in issues like this one?
All of them. All of them.
I mean of the ruling party?
No. Of the part of the SDF, we are 100% in support of this, in talking over this crisis, because it affects all of us. But with the ruling party, they are interested. Particularly those of the CPDM who are in the Anglophone, who are in the Southwest region. And in some they appointed senators in the Northwest region. They are interested in discussing it because they are equally affected. I'm soliciting our CPDM members of Parliament, both of the National Assembly and the Senate, to join the SDF in clamoring for a solution to this problem. How many Anglophone Cameroonians need to be killed for this problem to be put on the table? We are imagining a situation now in the field whereby it is like there's a plan, a hidden plan, which may be known to my CPDM colleagues because they are dealing with the government too. They are closer to the government. It's like there's a plan to exterminate the Anglophone population.
That is a claim, Senator.
It is because the way you see things happening, it is like there's a plan. If you can burn, as we are getting from the NGOs, some of the non-governmental organizations, saying about 200 villages
but you live in the Northwest. Have you been able to go to some of those villages to find out for yourself, to see if what people are saying?
My village is affected. I wrote a letter to the minister, to the Procurator General of the Northwest region, to investigate the arson that was committed in my village, when I had witnesses, called me on phone. I talked to some of them. I've received some of them as internally displaced.
Has the letter yielded fruits?
Who told me their houses were put on fire by the military. Okay, now I didn't take position to say whether what they were saying was right or wrong, but I wrote to the Procurator General to cause an investigation to be opened over that situation, to establish whether it's right or wrong, that the military are the ones responsible for that crime. Just recently, I had a correspondence from the Procurator General that he has forwarded a complaint to the regional, to the Gendarmerie Legion Commander for the Northwest region for investigation. But before then, suffice it to tell you that I received a call from the topest military officer of the region questioning me over the complaint. And that instead of bringing the proofs, why am I accusing that I'm accusing the military? I was
discussed that with their colleagues.
I told them I was taken aback by that response, because I said I referred to the complaint that I received from Balikumbat as allegations of military having committed arson, beaten, molested people, and killed others. You get the point? The accusation, the finger of all the persons who accused, who called me, were pointing on the military. For one reason or the other, I don't know. But then, that's the reason for which I say it's an allegation. And I wrote to the competent authorities to cause an investigation for the allegation to be proven wrong or right.
Okay, today
instead of the military boss coming towards me to collaborate, let me give him at least some of the witnesses to testify, to help in the investigation. Can you imagine what the military man, I would not want to disclose the name, but I would just say it's a hierarchy of the military. He asked me if they don't investigate the matter, what will I do? You can imagine that. You can imagine the situation where a parliamentarian is faced with. A military man that asking a parliamentarian who complains on behalf of his people about an act of arson, destruction, molestation, and murder. And he is asked, if we don't investigate, what will you do? Tell me, is that not intimidation enough to an elected official? It's intimidation.
Okay, Senator, what have been your achievements and what are your plans of action to the population that you looked up to? Because most of them are already disappointed in you, the senators.
My population may be disappointed in me only to the extent that with the ongoing crisis, I am not able to get in touch with them on a daily basis. Why? Because they are all in the bushes. They have all run into the bushes because of the crisis. You go on the ground, you will find, except you were to follow them to the bushes, of which you need technical, you need protection, you need all sort of investigation. Know exactly where you can meet them. I don't know where to meet them. I don't know where honestly, I can only meet with the IGPs.
Are you telling them that you continue with the fight in Parliament?
Then I will continue with the fight in Parliament until there will be reason for them to come out of, because they're not feeling protected. They don't feel protected if they're to come back to that, until they will have reason.
If the matter is not discussed in Parliament, are you telling them you will resign? Will you resign?
No, if I resign, I abandon them to themselves. We have been doing much. We have been advocating. We have been talking. And this is part of the advocacy we are doing here. There's never a problem without a solution. Even after war that has been declared, they will still get to a table. And when they get to a table, some of us will be co-opted to join the negotiation table and discuss the issue. Whether we are discussing, no matter what, on what terms, under what guidance we're discussing. But suffice it, as you asked, since my election, what have I done? Suffice it to inform you that my election victory, as far as the Balikumbat constituency or the Ngokutunja South constituency is concerned, is the first ever victory of the opposition in that constituency. They have never, the opposition SDF has never, the opposition, not talk of even just the SDF, they have never had a council seat in the whole of that subdivision or the whole of that constituency, Ngokutunja South constituency. So my victory it stopped the war. It stopped the crisis for a time being, because that was a novelty. That was a first of its kind. You can imagine I touched base, and I'm the only senator to have touched base after these elections in the Northwest region. I touched base. I went there and I got in touch with my people. I talked to them. They talked to me. And I think
Senator Henry Kemende, thanks so much for accepting to talk to us.
You're welcome. The pleasure is mine.